Hello, Mr. Montalvo, U.S. History, and today we're taking a look at Unit 5, Lesson 1, Day 4. Our objective for today is to analyze images, excerpts from a speech, and news articles to analyze President Roosevelt's response to the attack on Pearl Harbor. In order to proceed with today's topic, an important key term to understand is embargo. Now, an embargo is an official ban on trade and other commercial activity with a country. So, to Roosevelt, Japanese aggressions in Asia was just as alarming as Germany's advances in Europe. The United States tried to stop Japanese aggression by refusing to sell oil and scrap metal to Japan. This embargo angered the Japanese. On Monday morning on December 7, 1941, the American Pacific Fleet was peacefully anchored in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Suddenly, Japanese planes swept through the sky, and in less than 2 hours, they sank or seriously damaged 19 American ships, 200 planes, and killed about 2,400 people. Congress then declared war on Japan. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor is an illustration of the impact a single event can have on public opinion in a time of crisis. What does that mean? When we take a look at America's foreign policy after World War I, it was one of an isolationist or neutral nation. Now, this one event changed the perception of society. Being attacked on what was U.S. soil was a direct threat to the United States, and as such, society pushed forward and called for war. The immediate cause of the United States' entry into World War II was the United States suffered a direct military attack, that of which took place at Pearl Harbor. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Americans were sent for combat training. Army, Navy, and air bases were set up. Recruits were trained to fight in the jungles of the Pacific. Now, when we take a look at the participants in World War II as we continue discussing this topic, the dark green represents the Allies before the attack on Pearl Harbor, including various colonies. The light green are the Allied countries that entered the war after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. So we see that the amount of influence that the United States has in the Western Hemisphere, being that the moment that they enter the war, then the entire rest of the Western Hemisphere, for the most part, enters with them, along with other nations in which they have influence. And the orange represents the Axis powers. Roosevelt's "A Date Which Will Live in Infamy" speech on December 7, 1941, sums up the determination of the United States to assure that an attack like this will not take place on U.S. soil. And an attack such as this hadn't taken place on U.S. soil up until September 11th, 2001. And so linked to this lesson is a primary source analysis of the attack on Pearl Harbor, or rather, Roosevelt's speech, "A Date Which Will Live in Infamy," which summarizes overall American sentiment and the official entrance of the United States into World War II. And then, just to summarize our conversation for today, try to explain the effect of Pearl Harbor on the United States, short-term and long-term. And that's it for today. Thank you.